Good morning. My name is Brian McSwain, and today I will present an academic and statistical analysis of the link between ethical leadership and employee performance. This presentation is in conjunction with the Doctor of Business Administration program at Gardner-Webb University, specifically created for the course Advanced Business Statistics 1. Today, we will be discussing the academic article entitled Linking Ethical Leadership to Employee Performance, the Roles of Leader-Member Exchange, Self-Efficacy, and Organizational Identification. This article is authored by Walumwa, Mayer, Wang, Workman, and Christensen. This study examines the crucial impact of ethical leadership on improving employee performance. We will delve into how ethical leadership significantly affects employee outcomes through various psychological mechanisms. Based on social exchange, social learning, and social identity theories, this study suggests that ethical leadership enhances employee performance by fostering better leader-member exchange, increasing self-efficacy, and strengthening organizational identification. By combining these theoretical perspectives, the research presents a comprehensive model in which these mediating factors play a critical role in converting ethical leadership into tangible performance results. Let's take a closer look at each theory and how each one provides a framework for this research. Social exchange theory explains how interactions between individuals lead to the development of relationships, particularly focusing on the dynamics of reciprocity and the exchange of resources. In the context of ethical leadership, social exchange theory suggests that when leaders act ethically and foster trust, they initiate a positive exchange relationship with their employees. Employees, in return, feel obliged to reciprocate the ethical treatment and trust by improving their task performance and exhibiting positive workplace behaviors. The reciprocal nature of this exchange is grounded in the norm of reciprocity, a social norm that indicates that people should repay what another person has provided for them. In the workplace, this means that when employees receive fair and ethical treatment from their leaders, they are likely to respond with increased effort and better job performance. Ethical leaders, by acting in the best interests of their employees and demonstrating care and integrity, effectively initiate a cycle of positive social exchange. This cycle not only benefits the immediate relationship between the leader and the employee, but can also foster a more broadly positive organizational culture. Over time, this can lead to enhanced performance across the organization as the principles of ethical leadership permeate through the social fabric of the workplace. Moving on, social learning theory emphasizes the importance of observing, modeling, and imitating the behaviors, attitudes, and emotional reactions of others. Social learning theory, or SLT, suggests that most human behavior is learned observationally through modeling, where individuals observe the behavior of others and its consequences, and then replicate this behavior themselves. This means that people can learn new information and behaviors by watching other people. According to SLT, learning occurs within a social context and can occur purely through observation or direct instruction, even in the absence of motor reproduction or direct reinforcement. SLT suggests that people can control their own behavior through self-regulation and self-reflection. They can respond to the consequences of their behavior, which in turn influences their thoughts and actions. In the context of ethical leadership, social learning theory advocates that leaders influence their followers through their own behavior. When leaders act ethically, followers observe these behaviors and the positive outcomes that result. This observation can lead followers to adopt similar behaviors, believing that these behaviors are likely to bring about positive outcomes for themselves as well. Social identity theory explores how people's self-concepts are defined in part by their membership in social groups. According to SIT, or social identity theory, individuals categorize themselves and others into various social groups, such as organizational membership, religious affiliation, gender, and so on. This categorization process helps individuals define themselves in relation to others, which in turn can influence their behavior. SIT theorizes that people strive for a positive self-concept, and one way to achieve this is through positive group associations. That is, we want the groups we belong to have a good image and status because this image reflects well on us. This leads to in-group favoritism, where individuals favor and elevate the status of their in-group over out-groups. In an organizational context, social identity theory suggests that when employees strongly identify with their company, they are more likely to engage in behavior that supports the organization and aligns with its values. Therefore, leaders who uphold and embody the organization's positive ethical values can enhance employees' identification with the organization, leading to increased motivation, loyalty, and performance. There are 3 hypotheses that are named in this study. I will go through those quickly with you. Hypothesis 1, or H1, states that ethical leadership is positively related to leader-member exchange. What the author is conveying here is that ethical leaders enhance high-quality leader-member exchange through trust, open communication, and mutual support, ultimately fostering a positive relationship between ethical leadership and leader-member exchange. Hypothesis 2 postulates that ethical leadership is positively related to self-efficacy. Through modeling, verbal persuasion, and attention to employees' developmental needs, ethical leaders boost followers' confidence in their job-related skills, thus enhancing their self-efficacy. Finally, hypothesis 3 states that ethical leadership is positively related to organizational identification. Ethical leaders promote a sense of belonging and respect within the organization, increasing organizational identification among employees. The methodology of the study was designed to explore the effects of ethical leadership on employee performance, specifically examining the mediating roles of leader-member exchange, self-efficacy, and organizational identification. The experimental setup in this study involved surveying 72 supervisors and 201 immediate direct reports from a major pharmaceutical joint venture in the People's Republic of China. The participating supervisors attended a training project offered by a major business school located in northern China. This setting was chosen due to the company's direct engagement with ethical issues on a daily basis, providing a unique context to study the effects of ethical leadership. The average age of direct reports was 32 years old, with supervisors averaging 37 years old. Supervisors had been with the organization for an average of 8 years, while direct reports had worked with their supervisors for an average of 3 years. All participants were full-time employees, with 44% of direct reports being female and at least 94% holding the equivalent of a United States community college degree. Among the supervisors, 53% were male and at least 86% had the equivalent of a United States community college degree. Participants in the study received a survey packet via email containing a cover letter from the researchers that had been endorsed by the company's Human Resources Department. This letter explained the study's purpose, it assured participant confidentiality, and it informed them that only group data would be reported to the organization. The survey included measures of ethical leadership, leader-member exchange, self-efficacy, organizational identification, and procedural fairness, along with personal information such as age, sex, and tenure. Each participant was assigned a unique survey code to match data with supervisors' ratings of job performance. The response rate was approximately 78%, with a 100% response rate from supervisors evaluating their direct reports' job performance. Running a measurement model comparison offers critical insights in statistical analyses, such as identifying the best fitting and most parsimonious model for observed data, validating theoretical constructs, and ensuring the reliability and validity of the measures used. It aids in minimizing measurement error and refining model structure for clearer interpretation and better communication of results. Based on the measurement model comparison data in the table shown, the authors decided that the 6-factor model was the best fit for the data according to these fit indices. The 5-factor models represent attempts to simplify the model structure, but each results in a loss of fit according to the delta chi-square values, as well as lower Tucker-Lewis index and comparative fit index values. Delta chi-square is the change in chi-square value when comparing each model to a baseline or reference mode. The Tucker-Lewis index compares the model with the null model. Values closer to 1 indicate a good fit. Comparative fit index is similar to the Tucker-Lewis index, but CFI adjusts for sample size. Again, values close to 1 indicate a good fit. The table displayed shows a correlation matrix for 6 variables that includes means, standard deviations, and the internal consistency reliability, also known as Cronbach's alpha. These 6 variables are procedural fairness, ethical leadership, leader-member exchange, self-efficacy, organizational identification, and job performance. Let's now analyze the data to determine if there is correlation between the variables. The mean scores for the variables range from 3.39 for procedural fairness to 4.13 for ethical leadership. This suggests that respondents rated ethical leadership most favorably on average and procedural fairness the least favorably. The standard deviations range from 0.47 for ethical leadership to 0.75 for job performance. This indicates the degree of variability in the responses for each variable. Ethical leadership had the least variability, meaning responses were more consistent, while job performance had the most variability, indicating a wider spread of responses. The diagonal from top left to the bottom right displays the Cronbach's alpha, or the internal consistency reliability, for each variable, with values ranging from 0.81 to 0.92. All these values are above the commonly accepted threshold of 0.70 for good internal consistency. This means that the items within each variable are well correlated with one another. The data indicates that there are significant positive correlations being observed between all variables. Correlations marked with asterisk are significant at the 0.01 level, and those marked with asterisk are significant at the 0.05 level. The highest correlation, which is a Pearson correlation coefficient value of 0.50, is between procedural fairness and ethical leadership. This relationship suggests a strong positive correlation between these two variables. The correlation between ethical leadership and leader-member exchange is also notably high, with a Pearson correlation coefficient value of 0.48, indicating a strong relationship. In summary, the data suggests that there are significant and positive relationships among the constructs of interest in this study. All variables are reliably measured as indicated by the high Cronbach's alpha values. These relationships are likely meaningful and suggest that the variables may influence one another. The study utilized hierarchical linear modeling, also known as HLM, to analyze the data. This statistical method is particularly suited for data that is nested in nature. In this instance, employees within teams. The table pictured presents a hierarchical regression analysis with ethical leadership, procedural fairness, and their impacts on performance, leader-member exchange, self-efficacy, and organizational identification. Step 1 assesses the effects of procedural fairness and ethical leadership on performance. Ethical leadership has a significant positive effect with the coefficient being 0.15 and a p-value of less than 0.05. Step 2 evaluates how procedural fairness and ethical leadership predict leader-member exchange, self-efficacy, and organizational identification. Ethical leadership strongly predicts leader-member exchange with a coefficient of 0.5 and a p-value of less than 0.01, as well as organizational identification with a coefficient of 0.37 and a p-value of less than 0.01. Step 3 introduces the mediating variables: leader-member exchange, self-efficacy, and organizational identification to the performance model. This shows significant contributions from each mediator. Step 4 integrates all variables, showing that while leader-member exchange with a coefficient value of 0.16 and a p-value less than 0.05, as well as organizational identification with a coefficient of 0.15 and a p-value of less than 0.05, remain significant predictors of performance. Procedural fairness and ethical leadership do not have a direct effect, suggesting full mediation. For this study, the R2 values indicate the variance explained by the models, increasing with each step, showing the additional variance explained by the introduction of the mediating variables. The asterisks denote the significance levels, with asterisk P being less than 0.05 and asterisk P being less than 0.01, specifically for the two-tailed test. These findings strongly support the hypotheses, demonstrating that ethical leadership is indeed associated with better leader-member relationships, higher self-efficacy, and stronger organizational identification among employees. The statistical significance, which is indicated by a p-value of less than 0.01, underscores the reliability of these relationships. If we were to break these down per hypothesis, it would go something like this. For H1, the data shows that there is a strong positive relationship between ethical leadership and leader-member exchange, as indicated by a coefficient of 0.50 with a statistical significance of a p-value less than 0.01. For hypothesis 2, ethical leadership is also positively related to self-efficacy, shown by a coefficient of 0.47 with statistical significance of a p-value less than 0.01. For hypothesis 3, ethical leadership has a positive relationship with organizational identification, which is evident from a coefficient of 0.37 with a statistical significance of a p-value less than 0.01. The research provides compelling evidence that ethical leadership is crucial for enhancing employee performance. Leader-member exchange, self-efficacy, and organizational identification serve as key mediators in this relationship. By integrating social exchange, social learning, and social identity theories, the study offers a comprehensive understanding of how ethical leadership impacts employee outcomes. Theoretically, this study enriches our understanding by demonstrating the interplay between social exchange, learning, and identity processes in the ethical leadership performance nexus. This research underscores the significance of ethical leadership in organizational settings, suggesting that organizations should emphasize ethical behavior and leadership practices to foster an environment conducive to high performance. Additionally, the findings encourage further investigation into the underlying mechanisms and conditions under which ethical leadership influences various outcomes, thus paving the way for a deeper understanding of ethical leadership's role in organizational effectiveness.